This is one sculpture in a series of many called The Travelers by the talented artist Bruno Catalano. And to the artist, they represent migrants that have been uprooted. And that gaping hole, that's the void you always carry with you when you leave your home country. But each of the travelers in this series, they carry a bag. And as the artist beautifully puts it, they walk towards a better future. And they carry hope in their new country. 17 years ago, I embarked on a journey that led me away from my perfect childhood place. My departure was, of course, very different than that of my ancestors that immigrated over 100 years ago. And it's certainly different from those that are forced to leave their homes and their countries due to war. But it's this one thing that all of us migrants have in common. It's hope in our new country. We hope for a better future where we can contribute and belong. And empowering international workers and their families to put down roots again and start to feel some of that void with belonging, that's my mission. And key to this journey is the power of sharing. And today, while I'll start with international workers in the context of my work and my passion, I'll invite you to consider how sharing could increase vibrancy and thriving in your own communities. You see, sharing creates belonging. And like migrants, that's actually something we all want to feel, whether it's in our sports clubs or at our workplaces or with our friends. In fact, it was just a few weeks ago that a university professor was telling me that he never really felt that he belonged in his new country. He was speaking on behalf of others when he told me this, and he felt that this was a common challenge. I had just been presenting about international workers and our dependency on their expertise. You see, our local talent pool of competence, it's like a small kiddie pool. But if we're going to continue with the industries that we have and all these exciting ideas you've heard of today and our future ones, we need an Olympic-sized talent pool. So many organizations from the health sector, IT, and green industries, they're looking outside of our national borders to fill our Olympic talent pool. And that's a great analogy because it's a global, fierce competition going on to try and get the best and the brightest talent. In Germany, they're needing 400,000 workers each year until 2030. And in our small country of Norway, with only 5.5 million people, not having enough competence is costing our companies, our businesses, $200 million annually. Talent and competence is key to strong economic regions. And some are serious about this competition, and others are a bit complacent. And you know what's bothering me? It's the lack of investment in keeping that talent here. Okay, so picture this, Uncle Scrooge McDuck's giant vault. You can picture this. He's got his swimming suit on, it's a one piece, I looked it up. And he's swimming around in his precious gold coins. And you know, the bandits, the Beagle brothers, they broke the vault. And there's this gaping hole in the side of it. And his gold is just pouring out. It's a humorous way to illustrate the critical issue we're facing, the value of our competence pouring out of our regions. But not so humorous is this example when I recently visited northern Sweden and visited a massive development project where I learned that 25% of their international workers were quitting after a short amount of time. And the company, they couldn't get their hands on enough people. And to make matters worse, it was costing them a fortune to replace them, between 80 and 200% of the lost employees' annual salary. My work is about securing and ensuring that these workers and their families are happy and that they stay. And you know what? That shouldn't be so hard because the Nordic countries, they're ranked as the best countries in the world to live in. You guys are lucky. But when international workers rank countries, they're consistently, the Nordics are at the bottom. And maybe you're wondering why, and there's lots of factors that can be considered, but there's one significant weakness that comes up very early, and that's the quality of the welcome that they receive. And it's this initial experience that plays a pivotal role in shaping their sense of belonging. And people joke that Norwegians are social distancing experts. Even before COVID, we were way ahead of the curve with a 3-meter rule. But I see it as a place where politeness often translates to not disturbing others. So making friends and feeling that you belong, it's not always so easy. And when the feeling of belonging doesn't take root, then neither does our international workers. And despite all of this, I've grown to love this place. In fact, I love it so much that I've made it my job to help other people to love it too. So we created a welcome center at the heart of this culture clash, where we want the world's best country to be a place for outsiders. We invite them to become a local with all of us. And I say us, because that's right, I'm talking about myself, but I'm talking about all of you. You're a part of my mission, because each of you holds something unique, something that can help those around you to thrive and belong in your communities. My friend Marco has great conversations with his son at bedtime. They talk about the different ways that his son included his classmates at school that day. And they had come up with 2 ways that you can include at school. And you can say, hey, do you want to come with me? Do you want to be with? Will you play with me? That's one. And the other way is you can go like this. Hey, come with me. Come this way. You wave at them. And so one day his little 2nd grader came home and he's like, Dad, are you sure there's only 2 ways to include? And he's like, what are you thinking, son? And he's like, well, I was thinking that, when I share my toys, aren't I including when I do that? And a big smile came across Marco's face because he was right. This simple act helps people to thrive because they feel they belong. They belong in your friend circle, they belong on your sports team, they belong in your workplaces, and they belong in your country. And when I asked Marco if I could share their story with you guys tonight, he actually laughed at the ridiculousness of the question. Of course, sharing stories creates human connection. And that's what belonging is all about. So I want you to think about the incredible sense of acceptance that maybe comes across you when you receive something from someone. Maybe it's a heartfelt message. Maybe they sent you a text message. Maybe it's an invitation. Maybe you've gotten a gift or even a valuable piece of advice. And in that moment, you don't just feel accepted, you feel embraced. You feel valued. And what about when you meet eye contact with somebody and they smile at you? You feel seen. In fact, let's do that right now. Show me that you see me and give me a smile. It's kind of lonely up here on stage. You guys are great. Now, can you share that with those on each side of you? I understand that the idea of sharing, it might be a little bit abstract or fluffy, maybe touchy-feely. I can appreciate that. I like facts. But let's dive deeper into it and let's expand our perspective a little bit. Sharing goes beyond tangible things. And that's great for those of you that don't like to share your toys. There's so much more we can give each other, and many of you are probably doing it already, but maybe you don't realize your impact. What about sharing your network and your connections? They could lead to new friendships and opportunities. And when I'm just about to die in a group workout session, I often shout out, come on, ladies, we've got this. Because when you share suffering, it's a really good time to share encouragement and support, showing others that you're not alone. But what about sharing information and pointing people in the right direction? Or just a friendly chat over a cup of coffee? You Norwegians drink 5.5 of them a day. Or even a meal. Each is an act of acceptance, creating belonging. A friend of mine sent me a picture of a rainbow that ended on my house. And if you know anything about rainbows, you know there's a pot of gold at the end of it. And my friend, she shared a pot of gold with me, and it was delightful, and it nourished our friendship. And our Welcome Center, it's like a secret garden for uprooted souls trying to find their place. And our approach is simple and profound. It's about sharing. We share valuable insights and knowledge. We help people find their way in their new home. We offer career support because they want to contribute. And we've created spaces so that connections can happen. And because our team is so small, we've invited local community organizations to share what they do. So from local sports clubs to language schools to compassionate individuals, we've witnessed the warmth of our community. And they have a chance to share their passion and their interests. Take, for example, the tax employee that drove 4 hours each way on the weekend to share about taxes with internationals. And I want everyone to recognize this undeniable truth. Within each of you, there lies something, and you might think it's small, you might think it's insignificant, but it could be incredibly meaningful for someone else because you hold the power to belonging in your communities. Some time ago, I came across a poet. His name was Ross Gay, and he embarked on a really unique journey. For an entire year, he diligently documented daily delights. Say that 5 times fast. Yes. People, moments, experiences, whatever brought him joy that day, he wrote it down. But what really resonated with me was the perspective that he gave. He considered it an ethical imperative to share these delights, these interests, these passions. And it's an ethic that reminds us that sharing isn't just an option, it's a responsibility. And when we fail to share, we neglect an important aspect of our human connection. And in doing so, we experience a collective loss. Take this example. A little over 2 years ago, a newcomer strolled into the cafe, and I could tell he wasn't from around here. And of course, not being a local myself, I didn't hesitate striking up a conversation and being a bit disturbing. Are you here for work or are you just visiting? And how's it going? I asked. Now, it turns out he'd come here for work, and it wasn't going very well at all. He worked for a world-leading company, but life had thrown him a curveball, and he and his partner had split ways, and he found himself trapped in a place he never thought he'd imagined he'd be. My place. My beloved place. And so in 1 minute, I shared my story, how I didn't want to move here either, but I had fallen for this place. And I told him why he should love it too. I shared with him why he should love it too. But you know what? I could have just brushed him off when he walked in. And when he told me that he was having a tough time, I could have sympathetically said, I'm really sorry to hear that it's been tough. But according to that poet, that would have been negligent of me to not share what I'm passionate about and what I love. And it would have been a loss for him. And I recently asked him if he remembered that conversation from over 2 years ago. And he said, Megan, I remember vividly that you gave me light and hope in a time when I was in a lot of darkness. And this brief moment and this brief experience, it just showed me the ethic of sharing or not sharing and its effect on people's lives. You see, communities, workplaces, relationships, they all thrive when we embrace sharing. It's a nurturing behavior. And do you know the Norwegian word for thrive? Yeah, many of you do. Blomstre. We want people to thrive. We want them to bloom. It means to bloom. And each Thursday at 10 o'clock, our Welcome Center hosts Coffee Connections. And it's an event where everyone is welcome to join, to meet and chat. It's the perfect environment for sharing. In fact, this is your invitation. All of you guys are most welcome, not at the same time, but please come. Once I was speaking to a local and I was like, hey, Idril, what are you doing on Thursday? Can you come to Coffee Connections? I know you have a lot to share and I think it'd be really great. I think you'd like it. But you know what? Idril was not keen. She didn't think that was for her. But Idril came when called upon. And when she returned to tell me how it went, she shared how much that session meant to her. And I see each Thursday when she returns the joy that she gets from sharing, from helping others to thrive, helps her to thrive. And years ago, I had a conversation with a colleague about the influx of new staff, and they mentioned they couldn't be bothered to make connections with their new colleagues because they probably wouldn't be around for very long anyway. But the thing is, it's not just up to the newcomers to commit to staying. We need their expertise more than they need us. And it's crucial that we change our mindsets and we change our behaviors. Vibrant, inclusive communities come from the power of sharing. And you know what? That's what TED is all about. So I think we should suggest them rebranding TED to be Ideas Worth Sharing. Because when we open our hearts and our minds to share, we unleash the potential of our communities and, of course, ourselves. So I leave you with these lingering questions. How can you incorporate an act of sharing into your communities to create belonging? And keep in mind that assisting others, it doesn't just be a noble deed, but it actually is scientifically proven to enhance your own happiness. And when recruiting, are you selecting individuals who will contribute to the workplace community? Or are your local hires unintentionally hindering your organization's growth? So let's go forth, let's be mindful of our responsibility, and let's watch our communities and our regions blossom. Thank you.